All right, hello and welcome. How is everyone doing on this wonderful Tuesday, February the 9th? I hope that your day is going very well. I'm glad I'm able to do this. It was a close one tonight, guys. So I have every once a month, my wife has a Bible study on Tuesday nights, and usually bedtime's no problem for the kids, but tonight, my goodness, right when everyone was supposed to be going to sleep, that's when all three of them decided that they were just deathly hungry and needed one last bit of cereal or something before bed. So we get everyone all fed up, teeth brushed again, get them into the bedroom, and they decide, you know what, tonight we all want to sleep in the youngest's room. So I got I got the youngest in her crib, her two brothers sleeping on the floor next to her, and I just barely got out of here about like 2-3 minutes ago. So I'm very, very thankful that despite some hiccups there, we are able to have this, because next week there will be no SeaQuest Tuesdays. I'm sorry to say. I will be unfortunately out of town. I got a project that is going to be imminently due, so I'm going to be at their site, making sure that everything is working. It's going to be our first live test of the new system, and then the week after, guys. I don't know if it's going to happen or not right now. We're going to have to play it by ear, but the following week I may be actually on an active pad site, making sure that the system is operating as it's supposed to. So we'll see. We will see what happens over the next couple weeks here, but hopefully I only have to miss 1 week and we can be right back up here again. So let me jump over to the chat real quick. 47 Yorktown saying hello through all kinds of dolphins. Thomas Potts is saying no picture again. Yeah, Thomas, it is the strangest thing. For some reason, I'm getting no thumbnails on these. And it's weird because I upload a thumbnail. YouTube shows that there's a thumbnail. And if you were to go, like, just instead of clicking on, like, the notification bell that gives you the, I hope that you have that notification bell rung. But assuming you do, and you get that alert and you click on it, you know, you're brought straight to the stream. But otherwise, if you're just looking at your list of subscriptions, the thumbnail shows up. For some reason, it doesn't show up in the little preview. I have no idea why it's doing it. YouTube is just off their rocker for some reason. And it's not just for this. It's been going on with my virtual pubs for about 2 or 3 weeks now. So I just have no idea what's going on with it and why this is happening. But unfortunately, I also haven't had any time to look into it. So hopefully we can figure out why that's going on. But at least the thumbnail is there once everything's said and done in your subscription feeds. Professor Brainy Specs is saying, ignored by Matthew Virtual Snub. No, that's Monday nights. I'm much better about reading comments on Tuesday nights, especially because I have the wonderful John DiMarco as a co-host who can help me read these. How you doing tonight, John?
I'm fine, but I don't know who this wonderful John DiMarco is you keep talking about. I think you made him up.
No, see, when you're co-hosting, you're quite wonderful, but then there's like this duplicate, evil, goatee-wearing John DiMarco who exists in the chats, and the chat John DiMarco is quite insidious.
Insidious? No, I think I like the sound of that.
The insidious John DiMarco co-host. I mean, you technically have a goatee in there. It's just you have a little extra in addition to the goatee.
Oh, by the way, thank you, Professor. Although I don't think that's true.
I do agree. Professor Brainy Specs is saying, John DiMarco, you are always wonderful all the time. The wonderfully insidious. We can combine these two things.
Although, since I have a beard, would my evil version be clean-shaven? I wonder how that works.
You see, I think as the beard gets larger, it indicates you're even more evil. So, technically, a goatee version of you would be slightly less evil.
That is true.
Oh, gosh. 47 Yorktown, greetings from Eastern Canada. Greetings right back at you, 47. And then the multi-gun man, I've come to have my comments ignored again. False multi-gun man on Tuesdays. On Tuesdays, I'm a little bit better. And then, like I said, there's that insidious John DiMarco in the chat saying hello to everyone. Don't trust that nicety. We know what lurks behind that keyboard. And then, yes, as John is saying, well done to Thomas Potts for tying up the articles of impeachment. If you go to my Discord server, which there's a link in the description area below, you can see all 174 articles of impeachment that have been levied against me to date. And they're still growing, apparently. So hopefully at some point we hit a cap. I have no idea. Maybe this will just be an eternal list. We'll find out.
There'll be no cap. There'll be no cap.
Just no cap. This will. The longer the channel goes on, we'll hit like Article 1 million. People will be like, "What on earth is all this?" But I'm gonna be reading these. So once I get done with all the project stuff, and I actually have a minute where I can breathe, I will be reading and responding to every last article of impeachment. Even the ones that are like, someone on your stream said something, therefore it's your fault. I will be addressing those. Because apparently that's also my fault. Thomas Potts, kids sleeping on the floor, yes, but by their choice. They wanted to all camp out in the same room together. So tonight, at least for a little bit, once this is actually wrapped up, I'll probably transfer them back to their bed. I don't know. I try real hard to, you have to say no to your kids so often. Can I cut my sister's hair? No. Can I jump off of this bed into a hard wooden chair? No. Just no all day long. So whenever I get a chance to say yes to something that is so innocuous as this, I try to find ways to say yes to the kids. But I still might move them back to their beds just so that I think they'll get a better night's sleep if they're in actual beds. Who knows? Robert Rose Jr. Hello to Night Life with Matthew. How's it going? What do you think about Texit, and am I in support of it? Well, Robert Rose Jr., hi. I've been telling everyone how I've been doing. The short answer is actually pretty good. Hectic evening, but very good. Am I in support of Texit? You know what? On an intellectual level, I love the idea of Texit. However, on a practical level, I'm not. Yes, Texas has the oil refineries. Yes, we have the big tech companies. Yes, we have the factories. Yes, we have our own independent energy grid. Yes, we have access to an ocean and a thriving seaport in Galveston. So, on paper, we have all the infrastructure we need to be independent. And we even have Army, Air Force bases. We have, we have the full 9 yards here in Texas. But even with that, I think that we are stronger as a union. I would like to see it more decentralized. I think that a strong federal government is bad, because then you have band-aid solutions where, you have people on the East Coast and saying what the people on the West Coast need to be doing that's best for them. And I'm sorry, you don't know. You just don't know. And you certainly don't know what happens over in the flyover state. So I do believe in a weaker central government. I think we should come together for things like national defense. Beyond that, I'm very much in strong states. Would that make me a Federalist? Is that what the Federalist Papers were about? I forget. It's been a long time.
I think those were a stronger central government.
The name certainly would lend yourself to believing that's what the Federalist Papers were about. I don't know. It's been so long since high school history. I don't remember what all the technical jargon for it is.
I think we might need another article for that.
Yeah, forgetting high school history, yes.
Exactly. Not only that, but for very seditious attitudes.
I mean, it is. I mean, how dare I believe that the central government is too big and, we should have strong strong local governments. The idea that I would rather have a tyrant 100 miles away instead of a tyrant 1,000 miles away. I don't know who on Earth would have any sort of ideas like that. But they got to be crazy.
Talk.
It's absolutely crazy. In fact, I think if you think about it historically, people who had that kind of thoughts, they did things that the people in power were very much against. So, I mean, there's historical precedence for that kind of talk being bad talk if you're a strong central government idea. And yes, there's already another article, probably about my high school history, not remembering it. Oh gosh. So yes, I answered that. That might have been a little bit more than you were expecting, Robert Rose, but there you go. You never know what's going to happen on SeaQuest Tuesday. At least it's not virtual pub. I mean, with that, you really have no idea. With SeaQuest, it's a little more stable.
Only slightly.
Only margin. It's margins, you know.
We do have Darwin, so that makes up for it.
Yes, our wonderful Darwin. Well, guys, let me go ahead and hopefully get this started here. What I've just done is I've dropped a link and I pinned it in the chat. And the way this works, if you are new here, which, excuse me, hopefully, maybe there are some people new who have never seen this before, because I don't know why, but I have gotten some subscribers recently, and I'm very thankful that there are some people who are enjoying this content and choosing to subscribe to the channel. So, if this is your first time and wondering what on earth is all this about, or I happen to, I happen to have one of my tweets about SeaQuest liked by apparently the #1 SeaQuest fan site, which I didn't even know that was a thing, but it is, and that was pretty cool. So maybe you followed me from there, and you're kind of wondering what we do here and how this works. So here it is. We are going to start playing this video in the screening room, and that's what the link I just put in the chat was. So if you're watching this any point from now on, you can click on that pinned link, and it will take you to the screening room, and you will be able to see exactly what we're seeing. You know, there might be a couple seconds delay, but in theory, you're seeing everything at the same time. And all it's doing is it's syncing up our ability to watch this at once. If you're watching this in the distant future when the stream is over, I'm sorry, that link will no longer be valid. You will be in my screening room, but you'll find nothing, because I'm not supporting piracy with this. I am not encouraging you to watch this and download it yourself. This is just linking up all of our watch times together. So if you're watching this in the future, go to Peacock TV, sign up for a free account, and you get all 3 seasons of SeaQuest DSV/SeaQuest DSV 2032. You get all 3 of them, which, you know, I actually I was perusing them, seeing how many more weeks we'll be able to do this, you know, kind of getting a glimpse of the future, and I was very disappointed to find out that season 3 is only 13 episodes. A half season. So we will have a full season for season 2, about 26 episodes, so half year's worth of content, and then after 2021, I don't know if we'll have any more SeaQuest. We'll have to move on to the next scene, next thing, which I hope just might be Babylon 5 with Professor Brainy Specs, if he's up for that at that time.
I'm looking forward to that.
Me too, because I have never watched Babylon 5, so this will be quite the experience for me. I really do look forward to it. But you know, I don't want to plan my steps too far, because we all know that though the mind of man plans his steps, God is one who directs his paths, and I don't want to be sitting here going, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, and you know, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's just a hope out there, and we'll see if we actually hit that or not. So hopefully everyone has had a chance to go to the screening room. And of course, if you're in the future, peacocktv.com, sign up for their free account. And what you can do is you can watch this along with us. I'll give a 5 count so you know when to hit the play button. And then even though you're not watching it live with us, you can still enjoy our live commentary as we watch this. And if it just so happens that you are, you're watching this and you only have the phone, you're at work, you got your earbuds in on lunch, thank you so much, by the way, for choosing to spend your time with us and doing this. But for all those who are experienced that, we will have the clips right below. And what it does is every 5 seconds, I grab a clip and then we kind of blend those together such that you are kind of getting a reference for what we're talking about. So you won't be able to hear the audio. You're not going to have the full show going on in these clips. It's just a couple of clips for reference so that you can see this if you are unfortunately limited. And we don't even say the full dialogue. Oftentimes something comes up and we get really distracted talking about, I get really distracted talking about some random tidbit. And so we will not be getting all the dialogue. I'm not good at that like Bird of Prey 5 is. Am I blaming God that he might not get to do Babylon 5? No, I'm simply recognizing his sovereignty and recognizing that, who knows, maybe in a year, YouTube will have gone the way of the dodo. Maybe in a year, I'm going to be so swamped with work that as much as I love doing this, I won't be able to anymore. Maybe I'll be fed up with YouTube. You never know. I might be dead. Maybe I'll get hit by a train while crossing the street one day. Stranger things have happened, especially in my life. So, just recognizing that God is sovereign and you never know what tomorrow is going to bring.
It's true that the life expectancy in Kuroga is not very high.
Yeah, it is a crazy, crazy life, but it's one that I would never give up. Because Kuroga's my home. All hail to Kuroga, the land of Jaloja.
Okay, that's definitely an article.
All hail to our leader, the great bird of prey. I hope you guys are all subscribed to Bird of Prey 5, or else everyone's going, what the heck? That is the theme song for Kuroga, Bird of Prey 5, the Emperor Dictator's country. Yeah, Thomas hit by a train crossing a street. You don't know. It's a crazy world out there. And Fort Worth actually used to be the main hub. There's a reason we had the cattle markets here and the Hell's Half Acre down in Fort Worth. And just any train going east to west, Fort Worth was the one that you wanted to be going through. So there's a lot of railroad tracks, is my point. So with all of that, let me make sure that I have that ready. I do. I'm going to go ahead and give us a 5 count, and we will get this kicked off and going, because I think we've given everyone enough time to come in, get to the screen room if they want to watch it with us. So let's go ahead and get this started, everyone. So I'm going to hit the play button in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and play. And so it's starting off with Commander Ford diving into the ocean. And apparently he's been in there for like 22 hours in this deep sea diving suit. And I can't help but notice, but I do not have a media source playing right now. So, John, if you could describe what's going on, I'll check why we're not getting our clips going right now.
Okay, so Bridger and the doctor are watching Ford as he's walking along the bottom of the seafloor now. And yes, I have to say that is a really fake CGI diving suit. Say that his CO2 is on the rise, so they may have to pull him out soon. Meanwhile, the captain says he's doing just fine. And Ford is starting to get edgy. And apparently the CO2 is starting to affect him. Oh no, he spots something unusual. There appears to be a woman just swimming around.
Oh, John, you went all staticky on us. I think your mic jack may have come loose.
Hang on.
Yeah, so he's wigging out at this point, and apparently he's also starting to get really fresh with the captain. Calling him pal, you chill out. And he decides that it's time to bug out and get out. And unfortunately he's kept rising way too fast. And they were talking about he is something like 20,000 feet down. Which, interestingly enough, once you get to 10,000, or did he say meters? I forget if he said feet or meters, but once you get down to 10,000 meters, you enter the midnight zone, in which no sunlight is able to enter. So I'm pretty sure he's at a depth where he should be able to see absolutely nothing. He has his headlights, but if you ever watch real video from being at this depth, it is way too dark to be able to see anything. Like, your spotlights are so limited in what they actually show at that depth. And yes, Commodore Ty. Hey, Commodore Ty, how you doing tonight? It is a really fake CGI diving suit, and it's a bit of a mermaid. Yeah, we may just lose John Ford, because people forget, but the original mermaids, according to the sea shanty stuff, they were not your friends. They would lure you into the ocean and then devour you whole like a rabid piranha.
That's a nice image.
Okay, hey John, you got your microphone working. Excellent. Oh, did you?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. Excellent. Okay. And Commodore Ty is saying that if they did it like in real life, it would make for bad TV. Yeah, that's fair.
Now he's jogging along the seafloor, apparently.
So apparently, whenever he gets to like around 20 hours in this suit, which, I mean, just imagine this. He spent 22 hours in the suit, and we find out it happened basically yesterday because they refer to him having a good night's sleep. And now he's at the 20-hour mark. So he has been in this tight suit for 42 out of like the last 50-ish hours, maybe. But for some reason, whenever he hits the 20-hour mark, the air scrubber system, it seems like it's having problems, and the CO2 levels start rising, and he starts to act drunk. So they decide it's time to take remote control like they did yesterday. So yesterday when he was bugging out, they took remote control, slowed his ascent such that he wouldn't get the bends on the way up. And then today he was being a happy drunk instead of an angry drunk. And he he didn't want to leave. He wanted to do handstands and stuff. And I have to laugh because if you're watching this right now, you can see in the reflection of this suit the surface water rippling. So he's so deep, but you can still see the surface water rippling.
Well, that's okay because it's a mermaid.
And Bridger and Dr. Westphalen are saying, Ford, are you there? Commander Ford. And he's not responding to them at all. He's in hour 3 of the virtual pub, just completely intoxicated. And so they decide to bring him up at the maximum safe speed possible. Commodore Ty is saying, I wouldn't want to be in a suit for 20 hours without a bathroom break. Yeah, me neither. That seems like pure misery, which, typical diving suits, at least half the bathroom problems are not too much of a problem. But, I still hope you had a good movement in the morning before you got into that suit. His blood is going to another part of his body? Yeah, the blood-brain barrier is impacted by the CO2. I'm sure that's what you're talking about. So meanwhile, in our B plot, we find out that Lewis is talking to one of his friends, and his friend is saying, come on, come do it. You just need to do it. And Lewis is like, no, I'm not going to do it. And you find out that apparently there's a janitor that this guy did a favor for, specifically by erasing some tax requirements. Like the janitor, he owed some money to the IRS, and this guy hacked in and erased his debt. And so as a result, or as a favor in return, this janitor gave him some keys, and this guy wants Lewis to come have a party with him at this place. And we're finding out that Giuliani, the young girl from the photon bullet that Lewis was interested in, that was the one with Tim Russ, Tuvok.
Yes.
She's going to be there. And apparently, she's been advertising that she wants to go all the way with Lewis, as this guy puts it. And that does it. Lewis is convinced. He was going to stick to the straight and narrow because it's easier to remember the truth. But hearing that Juliana is going to be there, well, that is the motivation for him to lie and go there.
I'm sure nothing could go wrong with this plan.
It's a good B plot.
Meanwhile, Ford's doing the crazy eye things, talking about a mermaid.
And he's at least aware of the fact that it could be a hallucination. But he is very convinced it's real, it's legit. But Bridger is kind of reprimanding him. He's like, look, you said you saw this the first time, then why didn't you tell anyone? Why did you keep this to yourself? And Ford says, I was scared. I was worried what you'd think, because it sounds like a hallucination. And Bridger gives him a chance to not include this on his report. And, Ford straightens himself up and says, no, these are the facts. I'm going to report it.
The doctor makes a good point. With the amazing breakthrough of Darwin's speech, who knows what's out there?
Yeah, and Bridger, he's dismissive. He's like, yeah, whenever Darwin sits up and starts playing the piano, I might believe there's mermaids. But until then, I'm not buying it.
Hey, next week's episode, Darwin plays the piano.
He just telepathically sends the commands to Bridger.
Exactly.
Because we did find out that, was it just last week we found out that Darwin is both precogniscient, he can see the future, as well as being telepathic.
Well, see, there you go.
But unfortunately, as a result of sticking to his guns, Bridger has decided that Ford is not in a mental state to continue these deep sea suit tests. And he's instead telling that Ford needs to go take some shore leave. And in this episode, they have a life alert device. So if Ford falls down the stairs or is having a heart attack, he can push the life alert, and the SeaQuest will be immediately notified of the fact that Ford is in trouble and come to his rescue. But Ford is just upset. He said, I've never been pulled from a project my entire career. What is this going to mean? And Bridger says, go relax. Talk to some girls. You might just enjoy it. And so Lewis is like rehearsing his lie to himself about how he's going to go to this seminar talking about the post-adolescence conundrum or some nonsense like that. And while he's verbally rehearsing this, trying to do a sales pitch to Bridger for permission to go. He turns around, of course, Bridger's right in his face. And here he is giving the sales pitch. There's a conference, and it's on the social phenomenon of post-adolescence. And Bridger's just like, oh, okay, fine. It sounds great. Go for it. And Lewis is asking for the keys to the car. Can I take the Stinger? Is that okay? And Bridger, he's like, okay, you can take the keys to the car.
And Bridger's a chill dad.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, you'll see just how chill he is by the end of the episode. Thomas Potts saying, unfortunately, I don't think Lucas is getting laid. Probably not. Maybe if this was on HBO Max, but no, not on. Whatever station this appeared on? CBS? NBC? NBC. But
meanwhile, we've got something illicit going on.
That Krieg, apparently he had some Oculus Rift glasses that he was using to get a VR experience of just ogling women on a beach. And so, for some reason, Lewis he's trying to get advice or permission or something from Krieg, but Krieg's not buying it. He's like, no, you're not going to a conference. And of course, Lewis, he is not a smooth liar at all. And Krieg immediately sees through him. He's like, yeah, is that girlfriend of yours going to be there? And of course, Lucas is like, oh no, I don't have a girlfriend, but if Giuliani were to be there, it'd just be a coincidence. Hey, Andrea Seabrook, how are you doing tonight? No, this is not the impeachment proceedings tonight. This is our SeaQuest Tuesdays. And that's what Lewis wanted. He wanted to borrow some cologne. And of course, Krieg, he sees through it. He has that big brother kind of relationship with Lewis, and so he, he's like, "You sure you want to do this?" But he's not really trying that hard to dissuade Lewis from doing this. And of course, Lewis fesses up, "Yeah, Giuliani's going to be there." And once Krieg hears this, he goes, "Is there anything else you want to borrow other than cologne?" And Lewis says yes, there is something else he wants to borrow if Krieg is going to offer. And they have this incredibly awkward dialogue. Like, I don't plan on doing anything stupid, but if I do something stupid, then I want to be prepared to be stupid. And Krieg is, like I said, he definitely has that cool big brother kind of vibe to him in the episode. Like, he got a lot of time to be stupid. And Lewis is like, yeah, I know, but let's say stupid wins. Let's say stupid wins. I want to be prepared. And so Krieg goes and gets him a shiny square package and discreetly hands it off to him. And it's like, you know how to use this? And Lewis is like, well, I'm not that stupid. I know how to use this. And Krieg is saying, just take it slow. You have a lot of time to grow up and be stupid. And Lewis responds with, well, that's easy for you to say. You've already had lots of time to be stupid yourself. Which is, it's definitely an interesting balance that they're trying to hit with this episode. Where they're trying to do both this whole chastity, but if you're not chaste, then hey, that's cool too. Just be smart about it. Andrew is saying if I'm going to do a play-by-play, I need to perform it. I'm not sure if I could pull off either Lewis or Krieg. I'm not cool enough to be a Krieg, and I'm not awkward enough anymore to be a Lewis.
Anyway, check out this edgy party that's going on here.
Oh yeah, I mean the only edgier party I've seen was in Matrix Reloaded. This is a top-notch party.
It's really close.
And Commodore Ty, I watched Resident Alien, and I will say that this is exactly the same kind of party that we saw in Resident Alien, which was a hilarious scene. So thank you for recommending that the other night. But unfortunately for our main character in the episode, his girlfriend seems to be interested in someone else. A guy walks up, brushes some hair out of her face, and she gives him a kiss on the cheek, and he is just... he's just this, Adonis of a man. Tall, gorgeous hair, strong chin line. Kind of makes Lewis feel quite insecure looking at him.
But meanwhile, back at the undersea lair, we have a standard-looking submarine heading into some kind of cave.
It's how we know that he's evil.
Yes, the jukebox is a dead giveaway.
What sort of dastardly man would have a rubber shark and a tank next to a jukebox with all these beakers and flasks and tubes? Why is Charlton Heston? Which, okay, when I saw his name as a guest star, I was extremely excited. I thought this was going to be so cool to see Heston flexing his chops on SeaQuest. And unfortunately, we're not going to get that. He was kind of wasted in this episode. At least William Shatner got plenty of chances just to chew up the scene, chew up the dialogue, and he did a great job at it. I feel like Charlton Heston, he didn't get that chance. Thomas Potts saying who? Heston was really active in like the 50s. He was Moses in the Ten Commandments. He was in... What's that?
Ben-Hur.
He was Ben-Hur and Ben-Hur. And since the time he saw this great guy kissing his girlfriend on the cheek, apparently they've gotten into a fight, and she's calling him out like, "You don't own me." He goes, "Well, yeah, I don't own you. That's an idea that went out with Flare Pants," which is hilarious because shortly after 1993, when this aired, Flare Pants kind of came back in style for a while. And they go back and forth, but then she kisses him and explains that he is her older brother. Which, I don't know. I have a good relationship with my family. I have a good relationship with my sister. I would never tenderly caress her hair out of her face and then kiss her on the cheek. That's just weird. That's a weird relationship to me.
It's those modern 2018 relationships.
Yes.
Just gotta get used to it.
Clearly, I'm just way behind the times. So here, back with our, I don't know, what would you call the A plot line of this story? Do you think it's the Ford, or do you think it's Lewis?
Oh, I'd say Ford's probably the A plot.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So back with the A plot, we find our little mermaid has decided to steal some clothes off a clothes hanger and integrate into, a part of our world. And Ford is just really making the most of his shore leave over the next 72 hours. Just hoping to get completely smashed, which you would think, since the past 2 days he's had the problems with the CO2 causing him to be drunk-like, he would have enough of being drunk, but he's really trying to get wasted. And wouldn't you know it, despite all our odds, our little mermaid walks into his bar. Of all the gin joints in all the world, she walked into his. Professor Brain Specs, is that how you get wasted? It is a way to get wasted, by imbuing lots of alcohol. Simply a way. And Ford he comes on a little strong. He comes on a lot strong. He comes over to her table. I'm so glad to see you. I'm glad you're real. You're real. This is amazing. And she's saying, I don't know you. We've never met. And Ford reveals it was underwater at 30,000 feet. That was me. So, okay, there we go. 30,000 feet is what he was at, which just so wonderfully converts over to metric at 10,000 meters, which is the beginning of the midnight zone. So yes, I will stand by my comment of it should have been way darker than we saw it down there.
The real smooth commander.
Yeah. I mean, he really did just come on way too strong, and I think it's quite understandable and reasonable that she ran away. And he makes just a rookie mistake here. He runs after her. In real life, no woman, when she feels like you've come on too strong and leaves, wants to be chased down. But fortunately, the other two mermen come out and, and grab her, bring her back home. Ford activates his life alert and does a kick that Kirk would have been proud of.
He activates his life alert and activates Kirk Fu at the same time.
Exactly. The winning combination right there. And yet he still loses. Despite that beautiful Kirk kick and the life alert, he flat out loses.
But he did let the mermaid get away.
He did. And SeaQuest picks up the life alert. They're going to go save him in theory. And this is little nitpick here. The mermen grab Ford and go under the sea. Ford cannot breathe underwater, so I do not know how they expect to get him down to the 10,000 feet that everyone else has been chilling at this whole episode. That is a crazy depth to go with no suit. Once you get that deep, you really have to have special suits and stuff. But we're going to ignore that. Everything is going to be aces.
Well, perhaps their submarine was waiting just below the surface.
Maybe so. Maybe they didn't swim the whole way. That's fair enough. I do like that Ford writes the date down that he began wearing his shoes. I think that's actually kind of a clever thing to do, to know how long you've had a pair of shoes. Professor Brainy Specs, wow, risque for 90s family-friendly TV. Yeah, and it's not going to stop. In fact, I have something to say about that. I thought it was very interesting that they were perfectly okay with showing a very cold woman in a skin-tight suit, but they were not okay with showing the men in those same suits. They had to wear little black boxers whenever the men were on screen. So that's an interesting little thing for you. Also interesting, if you look at that
I-
screenshot, you will see the camera crew in his sunglasses.
Well, that may be an indication of who their target audience is for this show.
And Bridger giving her a creepy elevator right there. But she says she lives in the sea, and I love this. I really do love the reflection of his glasses, because you can see the camera crew, and he does like this once over real quick, and you can see like the entire crew off the side there. Andrea Seabrook is saying, now that is some excellent knowledge. I've already forgotten what I said, but I hope it was something I said and not a comment in the chat.
It was about the depth of the Midnight Zone.
Oh,
meanwhile, we see they're very like a Jules Verne submarine here.
Okay, that was my first thought too, right?
Mm-hmm.
The wrought iron, the kind of steampunk look. I really enjoyed it, and I wish I could say just that I had that kind of knowledge offhand. But the truth of the matter is, the only reason I know about the Midnight Zone is because of a kid TV show called The Octonauts, which is just the best kid TV show for teaching kids about sea life. Now, unfortunately, Heston has really poor taste in how to watch a movie. Without any sort of projector, he's just throwing it up on a curved wall. It's not great, but they are watching a classic movie called Metropolis. Back in the early 2000s, that was remade to be an anime. And the anime was fantastic. The original movie about the uprising of the proletariat class, against the proletariat class. Am I getting that right? Proletariat? Yeah, the proletariats are the working class. So it was the rising of the proletariats against the bourgeois. It wasn't the best movie. It was a silent film, what I recall, and it was not the best movie I've ever seen. Thomas Boss, just like Enterprise, Matthew wants to see barely clothed men. I just want equality, Thomas. Just equality. Because, there will be so many movies that will do a topless scene for a girl. Never gonna do a pantless scene for a guy, though. Or if they do, it's just gonna be a brief cheek scene. So I'm just saying there's inequality there. Absolutely inequality. And I think it's sexist. But we find out
Charlton Heston is talking about his experiments about getting people to breathe underwater.
Back in 1953, they're saying that apparently he thought this guy died in 1953. And here we are in 2018. And he says, well, my work was outlawed. I had no choice. And his work being giving the ability to let people breathe underwater. Like that was his magnus opus. Which they had this plot line, didn't they? With the regulator.
Yes, I think that's what he was trying to do too.
Or was it the regulator? It was someone who had the same general plot line where he was just so brilliant and he wanted to make it such that people could breathe. Yeah, it was the regulator because he had the grade 8, the orangutan.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, back in the awkward B plot, we find that Giuliani and Lewis have found somewhere a little more private, namely a hospital room.
It's like a hospital room.
Yes. And they're revealing to each other that this will be their first time together, and they're extremely nervous about it. And Lewis is saying, look, it's no offense. I really, really like you, but I'm really, really nervous. And so they're both kind of revealing the fact that they're almost being pressured into this by their friends. she talks about some friend of hers says that you're supposed to be nervous and a little scared your first time. And you recall that it was Biff, Lucas's friend, who really encouraged him by saying Giuliani wanted to go all the way with him. So they're really, really being pressured into this by their friends. And they are not comfortable with the situation that they're letting themselves be led into. So they're doing their best. They're going to try and relax there on the bed and just hang out together. And the police show up, and the kid Biff tries to pull a quick one about how he's Dr. Biff, and the cops are like, "Yeah, do you think we're idiots? We know that you broke and entered into this place. Party's over. Get out of here." Meanwhile, Lewis and his girlfriend are slowly getting over their nervousness for each other. But at the same time, Lewis admits, he says, "You know what? We're not ready. Let's not do this." And she thanks him. She says, "I know, I'm not ready either. Thank you, Lucas." Which, I mean, kind of a jerk move to get his name wrong. You at least want to get the name of the guy you're lying in bed with, right? Meanwhile, the big brother shows up.
And he's a big brother in more ways than one.
Yes. And, he looks a lot like one of the brothers from the paranormal TV show, Supernatural. Is that the name of it? With the two brothers, Sam and the other guy?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
They both try to take credit. The sister says, "I want to do something. Lucas stopped me." Lucas says, "No, it's my fault." And the big brother's like, "You need to get out of here. It's time for you to leave." And Lucas is like, "Yeah, okay. And then he tries to get one last kiss, and the brother's like, "Are you kidding me? Get out of here." Which I feel like that's a good job, big brother. Way to look out for your little sister and make sure that she doesn't make a mistake that she's already admitted to the fact she doesn't want to do. And they figured out who was doing it, because Bridger, remember, he ran into the Little Mermaid, and she's agreed to take them to her father's undersea laboratory, which really, really is Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. What, Captain Nemo, I believe his name was?
Yes. Well, SeaQuest is too big to quite make it all the way in, it looks like.
Thomas Foss saying, "I don't know how to word an article for that one." That's fair. That's pretty fair. Good luck with that one, Thomas. I have every confidence in you that you will figure out how to word that one.
Meanwhile,
So
Charlton Heston's going like full mad scientist here.
Yeah, he said, "Do you want to leave?" And Ford goes, "Yeah, how?" And Heston says, "As a fish." And so it's one of those things where it's like, is he literally going to try to transform him or do some brain transplant on Ford? Or is he talking just about like giving him the same abilities that his children have? The ability to breathe underwater. But seemingly, before anything can happen, they see that SeaQuest is at their front door. And Heston has actually named this place Abalon, which I feel like I'm missing a reference for what Abalon is. Maybe it was supposed to be like Avalon?
Well, it might be a reference to Abalone, which is the whale, not whale, like seashells or sea snails.
Like the conch.
Yeah, something like that.
Let's see. Now, is it Abalon or Avalon? I know in the Arthurian legend there was a country or a town, a castle at Abalon, which was supposed to have some very significant importance for King Arthur.
Yes, that was Avalon with a V.
Avalon, yes.
But this one's Abalon with a B.
Let's see, Abalon myth. The myths of Avalon.
Yeah. Avalon, yeah, it's with a V.
Yeah, that's what
King
I
Arthur
thought.
stuff.
Abalone, Energy Muse, that's something different. So yeah, I'm not sure what they're going for with Abalon. They may have meant Abalone, which has an E on the end of it, which is a group of small to large sea snails, like you were saying. Yes. So well done, John. That is exactly. I think that's what they were going for. I think they just made a mistake. And let's see if they did. Maybe the one that made the mistake was Peacock TV. Let's see, season 1. Come down to the bottom. Nope, Abalon, no E. Oh well. As someone who gets names wrong all the time, I can't cast the first stone on this one.
But I suspect it may have been intentional, just to.
And that the Sword of Excalibur was forged on the island of Avalon. There we go. That's what that one is.
And yes, Andrew, if you're around here long enough, you'll get used to him ignoring you.
Hey, I'm not ignoring. Sometimes it just takes me a minute.
We got some more nice Kirk Fu going on here. I like it.
Yeah. So they get an Asian security chief and have him immediately do karate.
Oh, well, sure, why not? Even Crocker's getting in on the action.
Well, one thing I'm curious about here, Ford was very much in that tank for quite a while. Like during that whole conversation, he was in the water tank. Where, Heston revealed, I know who you are. I have no desire to be up on the surface. I'm 153 years old and I expect to live another 100 years. And Ford's still okay. So it's like, did they experiment on Ford? Can he breathe underwater now? I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe in a future episode. I suspect not. I think they just weren't thinking about the time, but we'll see. Hey, Daniel's Hot Topics. How you doing tonight? He says, why can't the girls do martial arts? That was not a girl. That was just an Asian guy. But they can. Girls absolutely can do martial arts.
Meanwhile, Lewis is getting pulled over for underwater speeding.
Which, I can't believe this is a thing, to be honest. Like, it makes for a hilarious way to wrap up the episode. I'm not complaining. But when I saw this, I'm like, this is a thing? Like, underwater cops? I mean, technically, SeaQuest is an underwater police force.
Reckless operation of a subsurface vehicle. Teenagers these days.
And Bridger, he's talking about, well, the only Lucas Wolinchuk that I know is at the Sanger Institute. and Bridger's like, oh my goodness, I am too tired for this nonsense. And so then we have our kind of returning to the sea, Little Mermaid moment as she swims in a very flesh-colored onesie. Did I forget Daniel was here? I didn't forget it, but I did miss when he first showed up. I apologize, Daniel. I missed your initial comment. But you were saying, I just read that Disney could acquire MGM Studios. By doing this, Disney will get Rocky and James Bond. Disney's getting too powerful. That's crazy.
Right, Disney should buy the rights to
YJ.
SeaQuest so as they can prove.
Sorry, go on.
If we get Disney to buy a SeaQuest, then they could do a reboot on Disney Plus. It would be a big hit.
There we go. But Ford he thanks her for everything she did for him, which, I guess saving him from becoming a fish. And Ford, he's really doubling down, like, well, maybe we could go on a date sometime. Maybe we could get dinner and a movie. And she says it wouldn't work. There's no way we could make this happen. And Ford goes, well, why not? And so she takes off the robe to her waist, and you see that she has gills. And she has webbed hands. And that's why... That's the secret. That's why she can breathe underwater. She has gills on her back. And Andrea's saying clam-like bivalve and throws in a picture of a seashell for the... Hold on, I gotta scroll back up and see how you said to pronounce that. The Abalone. Abalone. But Ford is undissuaded. He thinks that she's still a pretty dynamite gal and is fine with, going on a date with her all the same. And here we really get to see what a chill dad Bridger is. He's like, yeah, no lecture. It's okay. Just don't do it again. Also, give me the keys to the car. And Lewis pulls out the keys, and what y'all miss in the clips is that on the ground is the condom that Krieg gave him. And Bridger picks up, and he's like, is this yours? And Lewis is just thoroughly embarrassed. And he says, you can keep that if you want. And Bridger confesses that from the time he was 16, he kept one of them in his wallet. He said, I had it unused for years. And he gives it back to Lucas and says, why don't you keep this? So that is the interesting messaging of this week's episode. That on the one hand, they are supportive of minors making stupid choices, but at the same time supporting waiting, which I thought was an interesting split.
I wonder if they're trying to not offend anybody on either side.
Maybe. And Bob Ballard is talking about the deepest spot they'd ever been to at this point, which was called Challenger Depth, which I'm pretty sure we've broken that by now. But he's talking about how at that depth you have 8 tons worth of water pressure, and 2 people became very famous by being the first 2 people to be able to do a undersea dive at that depth. So yeah, all in all, I enjoyed this episode. John, what were your thoughts about it?
I thought it was an interesting premise. I thought, it was good to see Charlton Heston, but yes, he didn't do a whole lot for the role. Honestly, could have had pretty much anybody do that. Anyway, the idea of the people with the gills is interesting, especially because that issue is going to be revisited later on, especially next season.
Okay, I won't ask for spoilers. I want spoilers, but I'm not going to ask for them. And in his defense, Heston made a comment about how Bridger would be back. He was extremely confident about this. And he did kind of give himself like a pseudo out, like, well, if it's not Bridger, then it'll be someone else. But he was pretty confident that Bridger would be back for some reason. Which really makes me wonder, and speculate if they didn't end up doing a little something to Ford during this time. But we'll have to find out. At least I'll have to wait and find out. Y'all can do whatever you want. I am going to stick to my one episode a week so that I can review these fresh as they happen and not be biased one way or the other about how things go from here. John, was there anything that happened in this week's episode that you didn't like? You thought was pretty poorly done?
Yes, there is one thing that comes to mind, because I got to the end of the episode and I realized I don't think I'd seen Darwin the whole time.
Oh, gosh.
That's a definite drawback to this episode.
You got me. You got me. I was like, oh, wow, I'm so curious to know what John really didn't like. I thought it was such a good episode. I missed it. But no, just Darwin, of course.
Just Darwin. It's the best character.
He's a character. He is a character. I can say that much for him. Freaking Darwin. Look at me, I'm a flippin' dolphin. Professor Brainy Specs is saying the best part of the show was missing Darwin. Okay, yep. It took me a second there. I thought like the clips didn't show what you thought was the best part. But no, just Darwin.
I mean, when the mermaid was
Go on.
Sorry to say, when the mermaid was swimming around the moon pool there at the end, that would have been a perfect time to bring in Darwin. They could have had a duet. It would have been glorious.
They could have sung Under the Sea. Darling, it's better here where it's wetter under the sea with Darwin. Darwin.
See?
He tasks me. Tom is saying we have to wait 3 weeks. We might. I hope not. I hope I can find some way to make this happen, but it might be, guys, and I apologize for that. But that is how it goes. And for anyone who wasn't here at the beginning of the stream, I was saying that next week I probably will not be able to do this because I'm going to be at a job site starting Saturday, probably go through like Wednesday is my current expectation. We'll see what actually happens. And then the week after that, I'll be following the equipment out to an actual pad site and making sure it all operates correctly and not trying to do things remotely over a satellite uplink. Because you can do it, it's just on a brand new system, it needs some baby gloves. So possibly going to be 2 weeks. We'll see. We will see, guys. We may be able to work something out. Daniel's Hot Topic saying, I remember watching bits and pieces of SeaQuest back in the 90s. Are there aliens on this show? What is the number of Earth that this show... What is the number of the Earth this show takes place on? I don't know. I do not know. I also remember bits and pieces. The last thing that I remember is one about a industrial complex-sized air purifier and some eco-tourists who were trying to blow it up. I think that might be in the 3rd season, but it's the only thing I remember from this point on. So, no spoilers on it. I'm watching them one at a time. We'll have to find out together, or you can sign up for a free account at peacocktv.com. Peacock TV, they're not sponsoring me, but darn it, I wish they would, because I would shell out so hard for them, or shill out for them. Andrew is saying, oh my gosh, if you're going to continue to talk about The Little Mermaid, you must have a female on the panel. Oh. I'll stop talking about Little Mermaid if that's the conditions. Not that I'm opposed to having a female on the panel, just we're not set up for that tonight. We're going actually through Discord to do this tonight, and because that's the way that I'm able to get this fun little view screen set up to make sure that I don't inadvertently offend NBC. One of the weeks, NBC, they didn't like, I just showed a little too much apparently, and they gave a copyright auto notification. But I will say this in NBC's defense. I did a challenge for it. I said, here's what we're doing. We're providing clips for references. And within a couple days, NBC released it. So very, very cool. I am highly impressed with the fact that NBC was that cool about it. Usually, people's like CBS, the CW, ABC, typically they're kind of jerks about it. I'm not going to lie. So very, very glad that NBC was cool like that.
Now, you'd think they'd want people talking about SeaQuest. It's not exactly like it's their most well-known property.
It's true, and Peacock TV. I don't feel like a lot of people are aware of it out there. When I say baby gloves, you think I mean kid gloves? Yep, that's exactly what I was trying to say. Which are named not for gloves children wear, but for gloves made by a very soft goat leather. Oh, very interesting. And yes, babies don't wear gloves. Goodness knows, I try to get gloves on babies when it's cold outside, and they don't. You're right, they don't wear them. They absolutely reject them. I can barely get them to wear the hoodie. They'd rather have frostbite.
And by the way, there's no need to ever apologize for Fed entry. That's our specialty around here.
Nerds thrive on pedantics. If we weren't pedantic about how we saw things, like, I'm not sure if I could keep the pub going for more than half an hour. Thomas Potts, wow, Matthew doesn't want a female on the panel. Fake news. Wrong.
It's true. He just said it's obviously true.
Just fine. No, fake news. Fake news. Gosh. And in fact, we used to have up on the virtual pub, what was her name? She used to come on every once in a while, but I haven't seen her around in a long time. She's the one who did the artistic work on the wooden paddles.
Her name was Rosetta?
Yes, Rosetta. Miss Rosetta, who for some reason was also known as the Sandwich Winch. There was some joke there that I was not privy to, but I do remember everyone calling her the Sandwich Winch. But anytime people are welcome to, anytime we're doing the virtual pub, I don't care who comes up. In fact, I enjoy having a lot of different people come up. It makes it for a more fun pub. Daniel's Hot Topics. Do I think Harry Potter is satanic? Are you trolling me, Daniel? I can't see Daniel trolling. Daniel is too nice of a guy. He says, back in the early 2000s, the Christian community was saying that Harry Potter was satanic and the people who watched it would be damned. No. I do not believe Harry Potter is satanic. I do not believe that people who watch/read it would be damned. I personally choose not to read it. I have a complex moral feelings when it comes to witchcraft. For me personally, I do believe the Bible says don't associate yourself with witchcraft. That's not in question. What is in question is for New Testament believers, how does that play out? As far as my conscience goes, where I draw the line is when a majority of people viewing it treat it as if it was real. So J.K. Rowling herself never treated it as real, but at the time there were a crazy amount of people who read it and it's like, wow, this is cool, let's do magic. And this isn't my personal belief, studies have shown this, I'm just repeating the data. Even though whenever I talk about this, Mr. Miles, it gives him a brain aneurysm. He disagrees with this. I'm just citing what other research studies have said. And, the books themselves are like, it's a real world. And so just for me, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. Harry Dresden, excellent novels. I loved reading them. But after a couple novels, it really became clear that it was the same sort of dilemma, that Harry Dresden takes place in the quote-unquote real world. And so if I was going to be consistent in where I draw the line, even though I really enjoyed the books, I wasn't going to continue reading them because I think it would be hypocritical. If I'm going to say that I'm not going to read and enjoy Harry Potter because I don't like the way it's presented as, this is real life except, a fantasy version of it slightly, and people are treating it as if it was real. I need to be consistent. But you take something that is pure fantasy, 100% fantasy that no one in their right mind thinks would be anything but fantasy, like Lord of the Rings. I have no problem with magic like that. D&D, no problem. Do not care because there's no one out there, or there's no one there's no big group of people who legitimately believe this. That is real. And yeah, and I have no problem. I have no problem with anyone who reads it. I don't judge anyone who reads it. It's just for me personally, I have an issue of conscience, and so I choose not to read it. That's the only thing. So Daniel, I don't know if you're trolling me or if you're legit asking me that, but there's my legit answer if you were indeed curious about that, Daniel. But again, if you have no problem with Harry Potter and you love detective novels, I recommend Harry Dresden. Great novels. I think you'll enjoy them. But it's the same kind of... there's a guy who is a warlock, I think is what they call him in it, but he's also a detective, and so he uses his magic to solve cases. Wonderful thing. But not for me. Robert Rose Jr., have I ever seen Groundhog Day? With Bill Murray? Yeah, I love Groundhog Day. Great movie. As long as you don't think too hard about the fact that Bill Murray basically uses his endless loops to seduce a woman. Then it gets a little creepy, but, beyond that, great movie. Thomas Potts, Lord of the Rings is supposed to take a long time ago on Earth. I disagree. I have a giant book called The Silmarillion that goes into great detail about the creation of Middle Earth, the creation of this Tolkien universe, and no, it's not supposed to be real Earth at all. So in terms of anything for me, I got distracted there, but in terms of the episode, things that I found kind of meh, nothing really. It was a solid episode. It was a fun romp. I guess my only nitpick, like I mentioned when we saw it, was Ford being dragged in the ocean, and then Ford being tied up in the Houdini chamber, and Bridger having to knock him out. And just like, how is he supposed to hold his breath that long? But that's a nitpick. Great things in the episode, John. What do you think?
I would have liked to see more of that Jules Verne submarine. I thought that was fun. That whole aesthetic in general, I think, is fun when that shows up somewhere.
I did really enjoy that. The whole wrought iron, the kind of almost steampunk look to it. I thought that was a lot of fun. Tolkien said in an interview, I don't think that's what he meant, Thomas. Because he went into so much detail about how everything was formed, and he really wasn't supposed. He really didn't present it as if it was the creation of the Earth. He did. I do remember him lamenting that English culture didn't have a lot in the way of mythological traditions, and so he was hoping to create kind of some English-based mythological tradition there. But I don't think it was supposed to be. I gotta disagree. Like, send me the link. I'm willing to be wrong, Thomas. I'm very willing to be wrong. So send me the link to the interview, because I'd be very interested to see him say that. I think he was inspired. I mean, obviously, if you read the Silmarillion, he was clearly inspired by Genesis, the creation of the world. Very inspired by kind of Roman mythology. He took the idea of what if the angels were like the Roman gods, but they were still angels and they served under a singular deity. So he was very, very inspired by things like that. But I don't think it was supposed to be Earth. Yeah. Robert Rose Jr., I haven't heard good things about the live-action movie The Hobbit, though. You're not going to be hearing it from me, that's for sure. I'll say this. The Hobbit, excellent movie. Let me say that. The Hobbit trilogy, not great. The second in the Hobbit trilogy was so bad that I've never watched the third in the trilogy. And I love The Hobbit. I love The Lord of the Rings. The other works that JR did, just fun stories. Like Farmer Giles was one of the ones about, it's kind of like a Puss in Boots kind of story, except about a dragon, I think it was. But man, what they did with that second movie, it was just the worst. But the first movie was so fun. You had all the songs being brought to life. You had such an accurate depiction of how it was going. And then they got scared. They got scared about, like, people were like, oh man, this is so accurate. Why are there songs in here? And the people who were complaining weren't the fans going to watch it several times. They were just people who like had a casual interest. They were the critics. And they got scared by it, so they tweaked the second movie. They added in all this stupid plot about Gandalf and the hunt for Sauron, and Radagast the Brown with the bird poop. Oh gosh, it was just so, they had so much bloat in there. The almost love triangle between the elf and the dwarf. Oh man, it was rough. It was rough. But at least the first one was good.
I've never seen any of those movies, so I can't really add anything.
Did you see the Lord of the Rings trilogy?
I did not.
Excellent movies.
I read The Hobbit a long time ago. I didn't particularly care for it, and I never read the rest of them. When the movies came out, I just wasn't terribly interested.
Oh, that's fair. Andrea's saying she hasn't watched any of the movies. I refuse to let them destroy my internal Middle Earth. I get what you're saying, Andrea. You know, the movies they're largely faithful. They do kind of go off on some rabbit trails every once in a while. Like, there's a scene where for no reason whatsoever, they have Frodo meet up with Faramir. And they have this whole thing where Faramir is like, well, maybe I should steal a ring. And so, in the books, he does meet with Faramir. But he actually goes to, the ruined city. The one, not Minas Tirith. I forget the name of it. But he actually, Faramir, instead of releasing him, they're at the pond. Gollum, he's about to be killed because he's fishing and bathing in the sacred pond, basically. And Frodo stands up for him and intervenes. And that's supposed to be it. They had that one night. Faramir lets him go. The end. But instead in the movie, they're like, you know what? We're going to bring you back. Just so we can have this. And it's an amazing shot. I'll give them that. They have this beautiful shot where Frodo is feeling the call of the Nazgul King. And he wants to put on the ring. And so you get the Nazgul King riding on one of these flying creatures. And you have the shot where you have Frodo standing there, so you see the backside of him, or you see him from the back, and then the creature flaps into frame. It takes up the whole frame. It is a gorgeous shot, but never in the books. The whole side quest there made no sense whatsoever. But beyond that, it was pretty interesting. Did the Gandalf stuff happen in another book? Thomas, I think it may have. At the very least, I think it was referenced. It may have been one of the posthumous works of Tolkien, where he kind of expounded out what happened to Gandalf. I do think they referenced him going around. It's just the way they showed it in The Hobbit wasn't how it was really presented. Like, it was really over dramatized. Which they needed to fill time. They needed to fill the screen time because they took a book about a third the size of any of the Lord of the Ring books and turned it into a 3-part movie. So, you gotta fill it out. And Thomas is telling me the name of the city, which I'll give it my best shot here. Here we go. Osgiliath. Maybe Osgiliath? I don't know. And Matthew looked at Frodo Butt. Nice. Nice, Thomas. Thank you. Thank you for that one. Oh gosh, guys. I do need to get this wrapped up before I get any more articles, because apparently I'm up to 180 now. Thank you. So with that, John, final thoughts about the episode or any of this other stuff?
I love watching mermaids swim around with badly done CGI scuba suits. It really hit the spot.
Yeah, and that CGI suit when he's, basically frolicking on the ocean bed, doing cartwheels and skipping, just CGI perfection. CGI perfection.
The only thing that could have made that scene.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
The only thing that could have made that scene.
Go on.
I was just missing Darwin, of course.
Just missing Darwin, of course. Of course. Oh gosh, for me, it was a fun episode. I enjoyed the A-plot. Kind of keeping to the idea of there's science stuff going on, and kind of keeping to the theme of Star Trek, where you'd have your main plot in which something sciencey happened. I should say specifically TNG Star Trek. You would have the main plot of you have this alien attached to the Enterprise like it was its mother, and it was nursing off of the warp core. So that would be your main plot, and Jory would be trying to fix it, and they're trying to figure out how to sour the milk. But then you'd have your B plot, and the B plot was some sort of human-focused issue. It wasn't just drama, but it was actually like, here are the people of the Enterprise in their lives, the things they're going through, the issues they're facing, how it might have a larger moral impact. And you got that tonight. You had the A plot with the gill people breathing underwater, Little Mermaid, stuff like that. And then you had your B plot, which was Lewis and his being pressured by society to have sex with his girlfriend, and his own mature realization that he wasn't ready for it. He was in no way, shape, form, or fashion in a position where he should be engaging in sex with this girlfriend, which, it's sad to say, but this is especially true, and something that any young man needs to be aware of. That if you are a minor, so if you're 16 or 17 and you have sex with a minor, don't do it. Not just because, obviously the Bible says don't before marriage, but also you got to be so careful, guys, because legally speaking, her dad can say that you raped her even if you didn't. I had a friend who made this choice. His dad found out, and he will forever be on a watch list. He has to go around and tell people that he is a sex offender for his entire life because he was a minor and he had sex with a minor. So guys, don't do it. If the dad decides that they want to get vindictive, you're screwed. And if the girl, if the girl decides afterwards that she doesn't, like, y'all break up, she can at that time say that you raped her, and you will be found guilty. Like, there is no questions. You will be guilty. So just don't do it, guys. It is far, far better to wait, obviously for marriage, but at the very least, wait until you're both adults. You both have the emotional maturity to figure out what you're doing here. Because it can screw your life over so quick. And I like the fact that they tackled that in this episode. They didn't tackle the screw up your life part, but they did tackle the fact that everyone was like, hey, if you're going to do this, at least be somewhat smart about it. And I like the fact that they still realize that, we're not ready for it. I felt that was a neat way to present the issues in this episode. So with that said, on this very special stream with Life with Matthew, everyone, thank you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And everyone, have a good night. Take care. I hope to see you sooner than 3 weeks from now.
All right.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will, and be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of all the updates I do on this channel. If you want to support the work I'm doing here, then I hope you'll consider becoming one of my Patreons, where you'll get early access to all kinds of videos. And until the next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.